What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm back with some of your favorite entitled people stories, 3 of them today, so lock in, they're mental. Now the first one is great because there's actually some photographic evidence of this which helps explain exactly what happened. So without further ado, drop a like on this one, subscribe to the channel if you're new, let's get into it. Entitled woman thinks she owns the drive-thru, throws a tantrum, and gets served by karma and the police. I'm at Chick-fil-A the other day. At this location, they have 2 drive-thru lanes, one for regular orders and one for mobile orders, where you skip the line if you use the app and scan a QR code. I always use the mobile lane because it's way faster. Well, not today. Enter the entitled woman of this story. She cuts me off pulling into the lot, red flag number 1. But whatever. There's no one else in the mobile lane, so it's not a huge deal. I pull in behind her and immediately notice she's not holding a phone to scan a QR code like a normal person. Nope, she's sitting there waving at the attendants. Newsflash, nobody monitors the mobile lane. So naturally, she starts laying on the horn like a lunatic. An employee finally comes over. Before he's even at her car, she starts barking out her order. And this is not a short one. This woman orders like she's feeding an army. After ordering, she drives off without paying. The guy literally has to chase her down to get her payment. Then she pulls up to the window where I'm still stuck right behind her, despite having scanned my code and being ready to grab my food in seconds. The employee at the window asks her to pull around to one of the waiting spots, but she refuses, saying, "No, it always takes longer if I pull around." The employee explains very patiently that pulling around won't delay her order, but it will let them serve the people behind her whose food is ready. But she responds, "It's not really fair to prepare their orders before mine when I was here first." The employee tries to explain how food stations work, but she interrupts, saying, "They should all be working on the first person's order. I know you just make minimum wage, but this really shouldn't be that hard to understand." After what feels like forever, the manager appears at the window. He leans out and very politely asks her to pull around, even promising to personally bring her food out as soon as it's ready. To top it off, he offers her a complimentary peppermint shake as an apology for the inconvenience. And this is what, guys, sorry to interrupt, this is what I hate about customer service. The fact that you have to sort of pander and make sure that customers like this are alright and still come back the next time. You should just be able to say, "No, F off, get out. I hate people like you. You're ruining my job. Why are you saying I'm on minimum wage? Why does that matter? Like, just go away." But no. It's in the interest of the manager, I suppose, to give her free stuff and, yeah, make her keep coming back. I just think it's a disgrace. Anyway, what does this Karen do? She knocks the shake out of his hand. It goes flying everywhere. On him, inside the window, total chaos. She even has the nerve to beep her horn at him. And this is why I feel like, people in customer service shouldn't try and help people like this out. Just say, "No, go away." Anyway. Finally, karma starts to take hold. A couple of minutes later, 2 police officers walk around the front of the drive-thru road, coming towards her. The entitled woman laughs at the manager, saying, "You really called the police?" The manager calmly responds, "No, ma'am, they were at the counter when I walked by, covered in the shake you knocked over. They also heard your shouting and honking. I told them it was fine, but they wanted to check on the situation." At this point, the officers reached her car and told her if she doesn't pull forward and talk to them, they'll arrest her for assault and move the car themselves. She finally pulls around, but doesn't stop. She just speeds out of the parking lot. The police laughed. She has a very easy to remember vanity plate, and they told the manager that they're adding obstruction of justice for failing to comply with a lawful order when they track her down. Now look, I know that not all posts here have happy endings, so I figured I'd share this one for the holiday season. Well, OP, thank you. Now there are a couple of edits that OP has added here. Firstly, they say, some people were confused about her not paying at first. What happened was she finished barking out her order and then just started to drive to the window. At this Chick-fil-A, you pay right with the person who takes your order, not at the window. Hopefully that makes it clearer. And the second edit, a lot of people are asking for an update, and I really wish I had one, but I don't even know what ended up happening myself. I was just another customer. I've tried looking up her vanity plate. Apparently I'm not allowed to share it here, but I haven't found anything related to it. If I do hear anything in the local news or get a flag for the vanity plate on Google Alerts, I'll definitely update. Thank you, everyone. And finally, here is the third update, which is interesting and includes, I've read a few comments about how the mobile drive-thru isn't different from the regular one, or how some people don't believe the shake could have gotten all over the manager. I used the word window when I probably should have said door. It's a hybrid window/door setup here. Anyway, I was there again today, so I took a couple of pictures of how it looks. This shows the mobile versus regular drive-thru, and it should be clear how somebody could knock a shake all over the manager from how they hand it out, which is just like how they're doing in these pictures. Now, I will explain these pictures to you if you're listening on podcast form or on audio platforms. But pretty simply, rather than in a normal drive-thru where there is a window and the employee will pass your food through the window into your car, in this mobile lane, the employee gets out the door, like walks out the door. So they are physically standing next to the car. A couple of images here which show that, yeah, the employees are very close to you, like they're just standing outside your car door pretty much. So yes, if you did knock over a milkshake, as you can see in the woman in the second photo, she's carrying a drink, it would be very easy to knock that and just, yeah, splash it all over her. So crazy scenes, but I suppose that is what happened here. Okay, and there we go. Maybe that is one of the reasons why we have windows at drive-thrus rather than doors, for reasons like this. I mean, maybe not. I mean, this shouldn't happen. It's absolutely ridiculous. But again, like, comment down below, guys. What do you think about what I said in terms of like these sort of fast food chains or just customer service in general, always saying that the customer's always right? There has to be a point where you just say, you know what? I don't care if we lose this customer's business for the rest of eternity, the rest of their life. It's not worth it. And I feel like we reached that stage before the manager got involved and was giving a free milkshake, right? I don't know. Maybe it's like it's good to give people the benefit of the doubt. But if this woman was doing all that crazy stuff before the manager got involved, at that point, just say, look, move along. We don't want your business here. Pretty much never want to see you again, but that's fine, as we don't want to deal with you. Now moving on to our next entitled people story. Beg Packer wanted to eat my lunch. Now, if you've never heard the term beg packer before, like me, apparently this is the definition. It's a traveller who asks the public for money to fund their travels. Often Westerners who decide to go to countries where the cost of living is low, but then ask the public for money to fund it. I mean, that is crazy. They beg for charity from locals, apparently, despite coming from the West to countries where the cost of living is much lower. That's mental. Anyway, let's get into the story. On Saturday, I, a 38-year-old woman, went out to meet my friend Jerry, who is a 38-year-old woman as well, in this small village where a lot of pseudo-hippies and pseudo-spiritual people hang out. Another friend, Brew, who is a 41-year-old woman, joined, and we were strolling around when Jerry bumped into a woman she knows. This woman, Lola, was obnoxious from the beginning and started following us around. I noticed Jerry was a bit annoyed by this, but she let it go. Lola stops and buys a big plate of food, potatoes, rice, etc. She starts eating with her hands and doesn't offer me any. I didn't think much of this as I didn't want it, but this is important for later. We finally sit at a bar/restaurant at around 2 p.m. Me and Jerry order a beer. Brew orders a tea. Lola doesn't order anything. Now, I'm mostly quiet, listening to the conversation. Lola asks Brew how she survives, how she makes money. Brew is a bit taken aback, but responds and asks, "What about you?" To which Lola says, "Well, I have no money at the moment. That's why I'm asking." Brew wasn't feeling well and went home. Lola asks the waitress for hot water, fills Brew's empty teacup with it, and starts drinking from it. Wait, sorry, wow, that's interesting. I just observed. Jerry and Lola are talking, but I already didn't like Lola much. Later I learned that she is one of these white European people who travel the world by asking for other people's charity. Mind you, I'm in a poor country, and this is the type of person who asks for a discount in a local farmer's market. The topic of their conversation was incredibly annoying to hear. Basically, she had a bunch of judgmental ideas around one-night stands, and Jerry was trying to tell her this was just a constructed belief. I did not participate. By then, it was 3 p.m. and I hadn't had lunch, just a small breakfast. I ordered a portion of fries, the only vegan food in the place. It arrives and I eat it all without offering any. Jerry casually mentions that I'm a Buddhist, and Lola then says that she is surprised by this fact, as I didn't share my fries, and that I am selfish. She said she was also a Buddhist and Buddhists share. I just laughed, and I asked her whether she offered me any of her food before. She stays quiet. Then I said she can order her own fries if she wants fries. My view is this. I'm a Buddhist, but not the Buddha. Fries can look like a snack for the table, but in this case, it was my main, my lunch. She'd just eaten a huge plate of food. I don't feel I have to share my food with anyone else, and I don't see how anyone is entitled to my food. Also, being judgmental and confrontational are both not very Buddhist practices, but I'm sure she was not enlightened, so I don't hold anyone to the Buddhist standards. However, I can admit that I didn't offer any chips on purpose, and that I do judge begpackers. Well, that is the first I've ever heard of a begpacker, but goodness me, I don't really want to hear about them again. They sound like terrible people. Absolutely crazy. Not gonna lie, got no idea where this story takes place, but every time that I've gone to Asia or, somewhere just like in the Far East in general, which is where, generally most people backpack from the Western world, or they go to South America, which is relatively similar, right? It's much cheaper than Western Europe or America, like considerably cheaper. I mean, it depends where you go, of course, but if you're getting sort of normal standard food at normal standard places, it's a lot cheaper, to the extent that I've always been surprised and been like, oh wow, this is great. I'm not spending much money at all to get great quality stuff. It's way cheaper than when I'm here in the UK. So for someone to be doing this, or for begpackers to exist, is mental. I actually looked up like when this term first started, and there are a couple of articles about it from a few years ago. But yeah, it's there's not too much about it. I don't know. It's a terrible sort of thing that I just didn't really know existed. There's a couple of articles, and the titles say, "Is begpacking the worst travel trend of all time?" And there's an article from The Guardian, which funnily has the title, "Young, Entitled and Over There, The Rise of the Begpacker." Couldn't say it better myself. Great story. Now for our final entitled people story. A man wanted me to reimburse him because his girlfriend learned he cheated on her with me. Right, a little bit of information about me. Firstly, I live in Paris, France, where health-related expenses are usually pretty reasonable. And secondly, I'm sexually promiscuous, which means I do regular STI testing. I've mostly been lucky, except once where I got a mycosis in my throat. It was gone after only one day of medicine, according to the test I did a few weeks later. Of course, I immediately contacted all of the partners I had sex with since my last check-in, 3 months earlier, at least the ones who had not deleted their Grindr account, blocked me, or just whose contact I didn't get. Most of them thanked me for warning them and told me they'll get checked. Great. Except for one guy. He told me he doesn't use condoms with his girlfriend and asked me how is he supposed to tell her? She doesn't know that he cheats on her, nor that he has sex with men. Honestly, I don't consider this my problem. He also tells me that he's not legally in France and doesn't have social security, so he asked me to pay for the testing. It's around €10. Honestly, if that means it doesn't spread to other people, I'm willing to pay that price. I should note at this point that I'd forgotten that there are free STI tests all around Paris. I used to go there as a student, but my insurance covers private labs, and that means that instead of waiting for hours to see a nurse, I wait 20 minutes. The guy contacted me a few days later, letting me know his test turned out positive. He asked for money for the doctor and medicine. Once again, the amount is low enough that I can easily afford it, so I give him the cash to pay those things. Probably less than €40 for the doctors and medicine. The guy then tells me that he was living at his girlfriend's place, but she's kicked him out. And so he told me that I had to pay for his hotel. I told him I wouldn't, but he insisted, and that is when I blocked him. To be frank, I'm kind of sad for him. In the first place, because I hate the fact that people have to live with the notion that the police could force them out of the country, not find a legal job, and depend entirely on their partners. Still, I don't think that part of the implicit contract between men who have quick hookups with other men goes beyond the fact that we tell each other if we ever got an STI, or warn them if they forget some things when leaving our apartment. Once, a guy forgot a ring. I immediately went to send him a message, just to realise that he'd already blocked me on Grindr. This day, I guess I got a free ring. In particular, I don't think that a quick hookup means I'm responsible for paying for his hotel. Now, while mentioning this story to a friend of mine, they noted that, firstly, if he never got tested before, it's quite possible that he was the one who gave me the STI, especially since it seems he was surprised that you could get STIs from oral sex. More importantly though, for what we know, he never got the STI, or he uses it to get money out of other people. I've not asked for his medical bill or test results. There's actually no way of me knowing if he actually got the STI. Well, there we go. One of the top comments here says, if you give a mouse a cookie, he'll ask for a glass of milk. Very valid. And I didn't even think about that last point either. Like, there is a decent chance that this person didn't have the STI, but is just obviously trying to get as much money out of you as possible. Now, I will say that I think what you did was very fair and reasonable, given the fact that you thought there was a chance that you might have given this guy the STI. So, paying for his test, paying for the follow-up, it's very nice of you. Paying for his hotel, though, because he cheated on his girlfriend with you, that's probably a step too far. It's very, very funny, though. The audacity to ask for that is just great. I also do agree with you, the fact that, yeah, you can't work legally, depend entirely on the partner, etc., and could get kicked out of the country at any moment. But then again, it's also sad that this guy is cheating on his girlfriend. So, karma is all I'm going to say. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want more from me right away, there's an episode on screen right here. Also, click the link in the description to get a playlist of all my content, no matter what platform you're on. As always, hit this button, subscribe to my channel for more content like this as often as I can, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.